Have you ever noticed how some people don't say much, but when they do, everyone listens? The quiet guy in the room, the man who doesn't try to be the center of attention, the one who speaks calmly, slowly, but with purpose. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't chase approval. And somehow, he owns the room. You ever wonder why that is? It's not magic. It's not luck. It's not some mysterious gift. It's presence. It's restraint. It's the ability to stay grounded while everyone else is scrambling for attention. It's a choice. And guess what? That quiet strength, that calm power, is deeply attractive, especially to women. Here's something that most men never learn. But it's a game changer once you see it. The more noise you make, the more invisible you become. But the quieter you are, when you carry strength in your silence, people start to lean in. They notice, they feel something. And when you're not always available, when you're not always showing up in her notifications, when your time, energy, and attention become rare, that's when the attraction begins to grow. Think about it. What do people chase the most? They chase what they can't have. They desire what isn't easily available. They crave what's hard to reach. This is the law of scarcity. It's human psychology. When something is rare, we believe it's valuable. When something is everywhere, all the time, we stop noticing it. Now apply that to dating. Most guys are doing the opposite. They're overgiving, over-texting, over-explaining. They feel like they have to prove something. So they pour it all out fast, hoping that effort will win her over. But it doesn't work that way. Why? Because when you flood someone with your presence, when you're always chasing, always showing up, always offering, it feels needy. It feels desperate. It feels like you're trying to convince her of your worth, instead of knowing it already. Now let's flip the script. Picture this. You're a man of few words, but the words you speak are intentional. You don't chase, not because you don't care, but because you're focused on your path. You're not pulling away to play games. You're simply living a full life, a life that doesn't revolve around constant texting, seeking, or proving. This creates space. And that space, it does something powerful. It allows her to feel your absence. It gives her a moment to wonder where you are, what you're doing, and why she's thinking about you. You're not manipulating. You're not pretending. You're not running away. You're simply not always there. And that silence becomes your strength. Because here's the key idea. When your presence is powerful, your absence becomes even more powerful. You leave behind an impression, a feeling, a weight, and that weight pulls her in, slowly but surely. Most men try to rush connection. They throw everything out on the table, hoping that more effort equals more love. But attraction doesn't grow from pressure. It grows from mystery, from value, and from restraint. The Stoic man doesn't need to be loud to be felt. He doesn't need to chase to be wanted. He doesn't need to explain himself to be understood. He speaks less, but with confidence. He appears less, but is remembered more. He gives less, but each thing he gives has weight. And that right there is what makes him unforgettable. This is the formula we're going to break down. Silence and scarcity. Not as tactics to manipulate her, but as a lifestyle that makes you magnetic. When your life is full, your presence is rare, and your silence is powerful. You won't have to convince anyone of your worth. They'll feel it, they'll see it, and they'll want more of it. Ready to find out why this works on such a deep level? Let's keep going. Insi, let me ask you something. Have you ever left a place and no one noticed? Or maybe you were always around, always trying to be helpful, always saying yes, but still, no one really valued you? That's not because you're not good enough. It's because when people get used to having you around all the time, they start to forget what it's like not to have you. And when they never feel your absence, they take your presence for granted. Now here's what most people don't understand. If someone never has a chance to miss you, they'll never fully appreciate you. When you're always there, always texting back fast, always saying yes, always ready when she wants you, you're too easy to reach. And what's easy to reach is easy to forget. Let's look at it another way. Imagine you walk into a store and there's a big basket of candy. It's free. Take as much as you want. You grab some, maybe enjoy it for a moment, but then you move on. Now imagine that same candy was locked behind glass, limited to just one piece per day, and you had to earn it. Which one feels more special? The rare one. And that's how you need to start thinking about your energy, your time, and your presence. Because the man who gives everything too fast, his time, his attention, his emotions, is easy to forget. But the man who holds back, who stays calm, who chooses when and where to give himself, that man leaves a mark. Now, this isn't about playing hard to get. It's not about ignoring her, being cold, or pretending you're too busy. No. This is about something real. It's about becoming a man who lives such a full life that he doesn't have to make space. The space already exists. He doesn't have to fake being busy. He is busy. He doesn't have to try to be mysterious. He naturally is. Because his focus isn't on chasing, it's on building. See, when your world is already full, with goals, friends, hobbies, discipline, growth, you don't have to push anyone away. You just live. And in doing so, you automatically give less of yourself. Because your time becomes limited. And that limited time becomes valuable. And this is where most men mess up. They hear a woman say, "I want someone who makes time for me." And they panic. They drop everything. They give up their gym sessions, their grind, their hobbies, and even their peace, just to be more available. But what she really means is, I want to be chosen by a man who already has things going on. It's not about being around her 24/7. It's about making her feel like she's being let into your already valuable, already purposeful world. So when you stop overgiving, when you stop dropping everything for her, when you live your life with strength and direction, you stop being forgettable and start becoming magnetic. Because here's a secret. People want what they have to earn. They respect what they can't control. And they remember the man who doesn't need them, but still chooses them. Now that's real power. Let's dig even deeper into how silence and scarcity work in your favor, not just in attraction, but in respect. Let's talk about something nobody teaches you growing up. Not every reaction deserves your energy. See, a lot of guys lose power because they give it away with every little emotion. She ignores your text, you double text. She gives you an attitude, you try to fix it. She says she's not sure about the relationship, you try harder to convince her. But here's the truth. Every time you react like that, you're showing her something very clear. That your emotions are in her hands, not yours. And when a woman feels that she can move your mood just by saying or doing something small, she loses respect, even if she doesn't realize it at first. Women test men, not because they're mean, not because they're evil, but because they want to feel your strength. They want to feel safe. And a man who can't stay calm, a man who explodes when things don't go his way, a man who gets nervous or needy when she pulls back, he doesn't feel safe. He feels like a boy pretending to be a man. Now here's where silence comes in. When you don't react right away, when you give yourself space to think, when you don't argue, defend, or chase, you show power. You show that your emotions aren't on a string. You show that you don't need to win every small moment because you're focused on the bigger picture. That bigger picture is this: peace, freedom, self-control. Let me tell you something that most men never learn. Your silence can be louder than your words when you stop arguing back, when you stop chasing answers, when you stop trying to explain yourself every time she acts distant. You stop feeding the drama. And guess what happens? She starts wondering. She starts noticing the shift. She starts feeling your distance. Not because you're playing games, but because you're choosing peace over noise. You're choosing calm over chaos. And that's what makes her start to lean back in. Because your silence isn't weakness. It's clarity. It says, I'm not here to fight. I'm not here to chase. I'm not here to beg. It says, I respect myself enough to step back. And that silence, that stillness, it speaks louder than any argument. It makes her think. It makes her curious. It makes her wonder what changed in you and why you no longer react the way you used to. This is where real attraction builds. Not in words, not in drama, not in over-explaining, but in energy, in presence, in power. You don't prove yourself by talking more. You prove yourself by staying calm when others can't. Now, let's go even deeper. Let's talk about how scarcity of energy, not just your time, can flip the script in any relationship. Let's break down something powerful. You don't need to be everywhere. You just need to be missed. Think about this. People don't crave what they always have. They crave what's not always around. That's the power of scarcity. It's not about playing hard to get. It's about being hard to reach. Because you're living fully, not waiting around. Look, when you're always available, when you're always replying in seconds, when you're always saying yes just to keep her happy, you're teaching her one thing: my world revolves around you. And the moment you teach someone that, they stop valuing your presence. Why? Because it's too easy, too common, too predictable. But when you're living a life that excites you, when you have goals, plans, friends, routines, when your time is full of purpose, not waiting, now she feels something different. She feels that you're not trying to get her to choose you, because you've already chosen yourself. And that's when a switch flips in her mind. She goes from thinking, he's always there, to thinking, where is he today? That little moment of curiosity, that's where attraction begins to grow again. Because the less she sees you, the more she feels you. It's strange, but true. Absence makes people remember, especially if the time they spent with you was high quality. And that's the key here. It's not just about being scarce. It's about making your presence meaningful when you are there. You don't need to flood her with messages. You don't need to plan everything together. You just need to show up with peace, purpose, and presence, then disappear into your mission. That silence, that space, it becomes a magnet. She starts thinking, why isn't he texting me? Why hasn't he called? Is he thinking about me? Is he moving on? And now? Now she's in her head while you're in your world. This is not manipulation. This is not a trick. This is how strong men live. They don't wait for someone to value them. They become so valuable that people notice their absence just as much as their presence. They understand that true power isn't about proving anything. It's about being something rare. And what's rare? Time, silence, peace, purpose. You show a woman that you're different when you don't rush, when you don't force, when you don't flood her with noise. You show her that you're in control of your life. And that's what makes her want to be a part of it. Not because she's your whole world, but because your world already has direction, and she feels lucky just to be invited in. Want to know what happens when you build this kind of energy? Let's talk about the emotional shift that takes place in both her and you. Let's talk about energy. Not the kind you use to run or lift weights. I mean the vibe you bring into every room. People can feel it before you say a word. And guess what? Women are experts at reading it. They can feel when a man is calm, grounded, and focused. They can also feel when he's anxious, needy, or trying too hard. Here's a secret. You don't need to say much to be powerful. You just need to be centered, still, confident, in control of yourself. This is where silence becomes your superpower. When you don't rush to fill every silence, when you don't over-explain yourself, when you don't chase her attention, you start to radiate something rare, inner strength. Most guys talk too much because they're nervous. They try to impress with words. They try to earn attention. But the strong man, he knows silence is not weakness. Silence is a signal. It says, I'm not here to prove. I'm here to be. That energy, it changes the whole game. Because women are not drawn to the loudest man. They're drawn to the man who is sure of himself. You don't need to tell her your high value. She'll feel it in your calm. She'll feel it in the way you take your time. She'll feel it in the way you listen more than you speak. And here's something interesting. When you master silence, people start leaning in. They want to hear your thoughts. They want to know what you're about. They want to feel included in your world. You become mysterious, not by hiding, but by not needing to explain everything. That's rare. That's powerful. And that's exactly what creates deep attraction. Because it tells her you're a man who doesn't react to pressure. You don't get thrown off by games. You don't get pulled into drama. You stay in your lane. You speak when it matters. And when you do, it hits different. This is the energy of a leader, of a protector, of a man with a mission. You don't need a loud voice. You need a strong presence. And nothing builds presence faster than stillness and control. It's not about being cold. It's about being calm. The storm is around you, but you are the eye of the storm. Let's now dive deeper. How does this presence change how women see you and treat you? Let's talk about what women truly respect in a man. It's not muscles. It's not money. It's not even looks. Those things can help, sure, but they're not what makes her stay. What keeps a woman thinking about you, what makes her respect you deeply, is how you respond under pressure. See, most guys panic when things go wrong. If a woman pulls back, they chase. If she acts distant, they beg. If she throws a test, they fall apart. And what does that show? It shows he doesn't trust himself. It shows he needs her approval to feel okay. It shows weakness, not strength. But a man who has emotional power, he's different. When things get tough, he doesn't flinch. He stays cool. He keeps his center. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't send long texts. He doesn't try to convince or explain. He just lets silence do the talking. That silence? It says, I'm not here to fight for a spot in your life. I know my worth. This hits hard. Because most women aren't used to that. They're used to men getting emotional, needy, or angry. So when they meet a man who stays calm under pressure, something inside them shifts. They pause. They rethink. They wonder, why isn't he reacting? That curiosity grows. That respect grows. And here's the secret. When a woman respects you, she starts to see you differently. She listens more. She follows your lead. She doesn't want to lose you. Why? Because respect builds safety. It makes her feel like she's with a man who can handle life. And handle her too. She knows you won't break down. She knows you won't act out. She knows she can trust your energy no matter what. That kind of stability? It's rare. And that's why silence and emotional strength are so powerful. They send a message. I'm in control of me. You can't shake me. And when a woman feels that, she doesn't just admire you. She starts chasing you. Because now you're not just attractive. You're magnetic. You're not a boy needing attention. You're a man with unshakable presence. Let's go even deeper. Want to see how this kind of man changes a woman's behavior? Completely? Let's look at something most men miss. Energy speaks louder than words. You can say all the right things. You can text her good morning, good night. You can call her beautiful 100 times a day. But if your energy is needy, rushed, or unsure, she'll feel it. Women are like emotional mirrors. They can feel when a man is truly centered or when he's pretending. This is where silence becomes your secret weapon. When you stop trying to fill every space with words, something magical happens. She starts leaning in, not because of what you're saying, but because of what you're not saying. Your silence becomes mystery. Your space becomes power. You're no longer just a guy trying to impress her. You become a man who's not easy to reach. And here's the truth. People value what they have to earn. If you're always available, always talking, always giving, she doesn't have to work for your attention. But when you slow down, when you speak less, when you become selective with your energy, you become rare. And in today's world, rare means valuable. Now let's talk about scarcity again, but from a different angle. Most men think they're being scarce when they don't reply to a message right away. But that's not real scarcity. Real scarcity means you're not just mentally focused on her all the time. You have a life that excites you. You're building something. You're not checking your phone every 10 minutes, hoping she texts. You're living. And here's the kicker. When your life is full, you naturally create distance. You don't have to fake it. Your silence isn't a trick. It's just a side effect of purpose. And when that happens, your energy becomes clean, not needy, not forced, just pure strength. That's when she feels it in her gut. This man doesn't need me, but I want to be near him. That's the power of masculine silence. It creates space. That space creates tension. And that tension creates desire. Because now you're not chasing her, you're chasing excellence. And excellence is the most attractive thing in the world. Are you ready to see how silence and self-respect make her work harder to keep you? Let's now look at something most men completely ignore. The way you respond when you don't get what you want. This moment right here, it reveals everything. Let's say she doesn't text back, or she says something cold, or she pulls away for a while. Most guys panic. They double text. They try to fix it. They wonder, what did I do wrong? But that reaction, it shows emotional weakness. And deep down, women are wired to test this. Not because they're mean, not because they want to hurt you, but because they want to feel safe. And safety doesn't mean soft words. It means emotional leadership. Here's what that looks like. She goes quiet. You stay calm. She gets distant. You stay present in your own life. She tests you. You don't flinch. Because a real man isn't shaken by someone else's mood. He's anchored. Not cold, not mean, but stable. This is the kind of silence that speaks louder than any sweet words. You don't beg for attention. You don't ask, are we okay? You just continue to be you, solid, grounded, and focused. And guess what happens? She feels that energy. She feels your steadiness, and it draws her back, not because you chased, but because you didn't. You passed the test without even playing the game. Now think of your attention like a luxury item, like a limited edition watch or a rare car. You wouldn't give that to just anyone, right? Then why would you give your time, attention, and energy to someone who hasn't earned it? Scarcity doesn't mean you're cold. It means you're careful. It means your peace matters. You're not available for drama. You're not available for disrespect. You're not available for emotional chaos. You're available for truth, growth, and peace. That's rare. And anything rare becomes powerful. Most men try to win women with effort, but the most powerful men win them with presence. By not reacting, by not chasing, by staying grounded in who they are, even when things get messy. And that silence, that calm response, that makes her wonder, how does he stay so composed? Why doesn't he crumble like the others? And that curiosity, that respect, that quiet magnetism, it brings her back again and again. You don't chase her, you make her chase your energy. Now let's talk about something that most men don't realize. How women remember you, even after you're gone. You see, when you become a man who lives with focus, calm, and direction, even when she walks away, she doesn't forget you. Why? Because most men are loud, needy, and chaotic. They flood her phone with messages. They beg to fix things. They make noise trying to be remembered. But silence leaves space. Silence gives her a moment to wonder. Why isn't he chasing me? Why do I miss his presence? Why can't I stop thinking about him? This is the power of detachment. This is the power of not filling every silence with a reaction. And here's what's crazy. It's not what you say that haunts her. It's what you don't say. It's how you left with peace, not pain. It's how you stayed strong, not soft. When she talks to her friends, she won't say, "He begged me to come back." She'll say, "He just let me go," like he wasn't afraid. And that stays in her mind. Because now she has a mystery. She wonders if she made a mistake. She wonders what you're doing. She wonders who you're becoming. And you don't have to prove anything. You're out there building, growing, evolving. Not to get her back, but because you never stopped moving forward. You didn't press pause on your life for her. You didn't shrink when she pulled away. You didn't beg when she tested you. You became the one thing most women never forget. A man with quiet power. That's why silence is so loud. It's not empty. It's full of value. It says, I'm good either way. I don't need you to complete me. I already am complete. That level of self-respect, that level of stillness, it doesn't just leave an impression, it leaves a mark. It creates a feeling she'll chase, even if it takes weeks, months, or longer. Because in a world full of men who fall apart, you stood still, you stayed whole, you walked away, but you didn't disappear. You just kept rising. And now She remembers you for what you didn't do, not for what you said, not for what you gave, but for how you made her feel by simply being solid. The final secret: detachment leads to unstoppable attraction. As we wrap this up, let's uncover the final piece of the puzzle. It's the ultimate secret that will transform not only how women see you, but how you see yourself. It's the reason why detachment and self-respect aren't just attractive, they're magnetic. But first, let's look at one last misconception about relationships that men often fall into. Men often think they need to be the perfect partner to attract a woman. They spend hours at the gym, making sure their appearance is flawless. They spend money on fancy dates, expensive gifts, or taking her to places that show off their wealth. They try to be everything she needs, doing things just to win her approval. But here's the thing: none of that actually makes a woman crave you. Women want more than someone who's perfect on paper. They want a man who is secure in who he is. One who isn't desperate for her approval. This is where detachment comes in. True detachment is about building your life in a way that doesn't depend on her. Your purpose, your direction, your goals, and your emotional stability come first, not her. A woman doesn't respect a man who can't stand on his own. She doesn't respect the man who tries to be everything for her, because it shows a lack of self-worth. Instead, she craves the man who is confident in his direction, doesn't need validation from anyone to feel complete, can live life on his own terms and still be at peace with himself. And when you become this man, you stop chasing. Instead, you become the one everyone chases. Women won't just be attracted to you, they'll respect you. This doesn't mean you don't care about her. It simply means you care more about yourself and your own growth. You're not looking for validation from her because your value isn't defined by her acceptance. So here's the ultimate formula for unstoppable attraction. 1. Build your life. Fill your days with purpose and passion. Be the best version of yourself, for you, not for her. 2. Create space. Live a life where you don't revolve around her. When you're genuinely busy, your absence will make her wonder if she's missing out. 3. Stay emotionally strong. Don't let emotions dictate your actions. When things go wrong, remain calm. Mastering your emotions will show her you're a man of strength and stability. 4. Don't seek approval. The moment you stop looking for validation, the more others will want to be a part of your life. Remember, the more present you are in your own life, the more scarce your presence becomes to others. And when your presence becomes scarce, it increases your value. This is the powerful secret to true attraction. Women want a man who chooses himself, who has a life of his own, and who isn't afraid to walk away. Master this, and you'll have women not just interested in you, but genuinely craving you.